deer I am most interested in seeing, and the one I'm set up on tonight, is this big buck that we introduced. This is Chubbs' most active area on camera, so I'm committed to hunting him here for a little bit. Flipped a coin about coming here yet again and staying true, and just, I know if I sit here enough times, I'll catch up with him right here. He is down. Oh my God, dude. He is down. Oh my God, he is down. Just a few days ago, I got some pictures of a very interesting deer, by far and away the best looking deer I have out here so far this summer. And for early July, I'm impressed. He's kind of a lopsided deer. He's got a big 5-point side on the left and then a bunch of stuff coming out of the right side. Big gnarly brows, and he just looks like a really cool deer. I'm not sure which deer it is from last year. I have a couple that it could be, but I'm excited to see what he finishes off as. Nice. Did she tip a little bit?
Oh yeah.
Man, she was leaning hard. I got that camera right here. I had him right here, but last year he just was all around right here. Right, that's where he was again. 2 months later. And he was a big 10, he was a 4-year-old, and same spot. If you look at his left antler, big 5-point side with the split brow. It's the exact same spot. Tonight, I have Grant and Max and Gavin and Ryan. We're spread out. We got 3 kind of hidden fields covered. And so we're hoping for some good activity tonight. The deer I am most interested in seeing, and the one I'm set up on tonight, is this big buck that we introduced a few days ago on the blog. Big lopsided deer. He looks like he's just going to be a giant. And since we did the blog, I've been reviewing trail camera photos, trying to figure out which deer it is. And I think I've got it narrowed down to this. Last year, he was just a real beautiful 10 with split brows. And I thought he was a 4-year-old. We actually filmed him one time last year, January 4th, when I almost shot Tex late season on that back food plot. He came out right at last light after the field had cleared, after Tex had left the field. He's a deer that needs a name, so I'll take any suggestions from you guys, and hopefully we can come up with something good, and hopefully he'll stick around this fall. And if it's this 10 with the split brows, I think he will, and we'll be able to chase him all fall. He'll be my primary target if he does hang out. Dude, it's crazy. That's him. Oh my God. Dude, look at that. God, that thing is huge. I'm so pumped, man. It's so awesome to see him in person. As far as this deer goes, I'm really pumped up to hunt him this fall. If it's a deer that I think it is, my best chance of killing him is going to be right here out of the cherry tree. We'll see. It's still early in the summer, so who knows if he's going to be around this fall. But this was really his core area last fall. So I'm thinking that way now. Like, how can I make this area better? And how can I start strategizing to hunt that deer this fall? Well, it's Sunday, July 25th. The guys are down here at the home farm trying to finish up these brassica plots before I head out of town on vacation. We have 3 plots to get in. Just got the first one tilled under. We're gonna get it seeded and then move on to the next one. And that's gonna about wrap up this farm. bit right here in the alfalfa, and we actually filmed him out of the cherry tree set one evening. Last night, I got his picture down by the creek at 7:30. Legal shooting is over at 7:15, so we got about 2 hours left to go. We're gonna sit back and enjoy the afternoon. It's Thursday, October 14th. I got done with work a little bit ago, and Ryan and I slipped out to the home farm into the cherry tree. I had Chubbs on camera last night down on the creek bottom at around 7 o'clock, 7:03, just a few minutes after legal shooting. So that last little front's got him moving a little bit early. I think at this point he's bedding right here in this area, and it's just a matter of putting in enough time and being smart. He seems to be most active down on that creek, like right at last light. So before the rut really gets going, I've been strategizing about how to hunt down there a little closer to his bedroom. It's Saturday, October 16th, and Ryan and I are set up down at the home farm. It's a little after 5 o'clock. We're doing a hanging hunt in a new spot. It's not a very big chunk of timber, but this is where I'm getting the most pictures of Chubbs. He hits this camera so close, so quickly right after dark, that I think he's just bedding somewhere in this stuff. It's exciting to do something new and continue to learn this property. We're gonna get quiet and see how the evening unfolds. Well, it's Sunday, October 17th. And Ryan and I are set up back down at the home farm. We're back in the cherry tree tonight, coming in after Chubbs. Last night we decided to try something different. We had sat here, I think, 3 or 4 hunts in a row. I made a move to the area where he's been active, which was down on the creek, and we had a nice hunt, but no Chubbs. And then on the way home, I got pictures sent from my cell cam right here on this plot, and Chubbs was here in daylight last night at 5:48, so I think we had 7 or 8 minutes left of legal shooting. He's working the scrape right here in front of the camera, so sort of comical. The first time I don't come sit here when we have the right wind for it, he pops up right here. This afternoon of Friday, October 29th, Ryan and I are set up on the home farm. We are hunting this creek bottom that we've hunted once before. We had a nice sit a couple weeks back. Basically slip up through the hayfield and then just drop down with the north wind blowing back towards the hay, and I can set up on this ridge and overlook this creek bottom. It connects up. You can barely see my bean field over there, which goes up to the cherry tree. So this is this big draw that I think Chubbs is bedding in sometimes. He was here on this camera down maybe 100 yards or so. He was here 2 nights ago with some legal shooting light left. And the other 2 out of 3 nights he's been coming out of the other bowl. One time in alfalfa, one time in the turnip plot. So he's been active 3 nights in a row with legal shooting light left. So I'm just gonna get a little more aggressive and stay after him, and hopefully we can cross paths. I'd love to at least lay eyes on him. I worked the last 2 days and I wasn't able to get out despite Chubbs being active. So now I'm at the beginning of a 6-day stretch. Hopefully I can get him on the ground. This pup 6x5, I think. He's walking up the trail. Yeah, that's definitely him. God, look how sweet he looks. We should kill that deer if we can. That younger deer doesn't want any part of that. He's looking down in there. They're fighting. Dude, who is that? That's gotta be Chubbs, right? They are going crazy back there. There. What deer is that? It's Chubbs. It's Chubbs. He's walking Chubbs off. Dude, the two shooters. I'm at a loss for words. What an experience. It all started with this 2-year-old 8 and this 3-year-old 10 coming down this trail that's on that ridge. And that's one of the movement patterns we're hunting here. There's a real heavy trail and they pop through that ditch right here. That 3-year-old's a pretty deer, got a lot of pictures of him. And he was working a scrape and he looked back onto this little knob. And when we first got here, I was telling Rye, I think when Chubbs is not bedding in the bowl in the alfalfa, he beds on this little knob on the backside of the beans. And that's why he's always on this camera right here, like relatively close to daylight or right before legal shooting ends lately. That 10 point looked that direction onto the hill at one point. He stopped and he looked like he saw a deer, and I was like, there's got to be a buck over there. And then he got on the trail and looked down the trail towards that scrape, and he started bristling up. It was like, I could barely see the scrape down there, but I could see that there was a good buck. And then that was the 6x5. Once I got a good look at the 6x5, I decided I was going to shoot him. And he started walking up the trail here. The young deer came up the trail, and the 6x5 went in the woods where the 3-year-old came out, and he was tearing up the same little tree. And then he looked over, and I was like, he's staring at that buck. There's a buck there. And all of a sudden, it broke out in a big fight. And it went on for a good 30, 40 seconds probably. They were just pushing each other and clashing together. And I ended up seeing that it was Chubbs, and he beat Chubbs, and Chubbs walked up the hill and then went off. 6x5 sat here for a while. There's a doe down there. I don't know if Chubbs was bedded with that doe, or if that doe was just, bedded in the area, and she went up to the bean field. Crazy, I see both bucks. They clash it out. He beats Chubbs. Oh man, what a crazy experience. Encounter number 1 with both shooters, so pretty awesome night. We're down to our last 15 minutes, so we'll see if anything else shows up. It's about 3:30, and we have made the move back to the home farm. Decided to come back and give Chubbs another try. We're back in the skybox set overlooking these turnips. We've got a favorable wind for this set. It's a south-southwest, which blows it right back to where we park. I pushed it a little bit the last few times I hunted it with a west-northwest, and I think some of our scent could have gotten up this one draw, even though I think Chubbs and most of the deer come out of that bowl. Anyway, so we'll see if the movement's any different. I did have Chubbs in daylight this morning on the clover plot again. He's now done that twice in the last 4 or 5 days. And prior to those, he was daylight active down here on this food plot in the afternoons. So I'd like to think that means that he's bedded close. So this time of year, he could have just been cruised on and not be anywhere near here. But I'm holding out hope that he came in this timber and he's going to follow some does out into the food plot tonight. He's not been on any other cameras. He wasn't on camera the last couple of days, and then even this morning he wasn't on any other one. So my suspicion is that he's kind of been off the farm chasing does somewhere, but we shall see. It's him. He's under the cherry tree. Who is it? There's a buck down below us. There's a buck down below us. Man, I've got the sunlight on me. I said southwest wind on the cherry tree. And I got there on the cherry tree, and now he's 20 yards from the cherry tree stand. The wind is blowing out of the east.
I know.
I was going to call to him, but it's blowing right at him right now.
Hopefully it'll kick back here in a second.
He's walking down this way. Looks like he's watching the houses. That's pretty awesome to see him. He is a huge deer. We actually had an 8-point come right down along the creek, and he was looking down at him. He kept looking over at the houses. Sometimes the guy that lives there is out and about in the yard, and that'll spook the deer a little bit. I hope that's all it was. And he went, oddly enough, he walked 20 yards from the cherry tree stand. When we spotted him, he was standing under that stand. I can't seem to pick the right spot, but he's dipping down into this bowl that he seems to like to go into, so I'm hoping he'll pop out, down here in the turnip plot. The wind is also being a little temperamental. It's supposed to be southwest. And there's a couple times where it's kicking straight out of the east. There's a couple times it's even going north. I thought about getting down, but I got to work the next 2 days, and I thought I would, at the risk of, bumping him, I thought we'd come make this sit and take our chances. You never know. I wasn't even sure if he wasn't behind us over here. So anyway, very cool to see him not in the brush. Get a good look at him. And the night is still young. It's only 4:45, so maybe he'll pop out down here in the food pod and we'll have a shot at him yet. It's about 3 o'clock. We are back at the home farm in the skybox set after Chubbs. It's hot, 65, 67 degrees, south wind. We've already had a little buck, that real pretty young lopsided 10 that we filmed earlier in the year. He just came through the back of the plot. This is Chubbs' most active area on camera, so I'm committed to hunting him here for a little bit. Hopefully he shows up tonight. Encounter number 3 with Chubbs. Don't feel like we had much of a chance there. He popped into the food plot and just walked straight across the back. And I mean, he had seemingly a destination in mind. As quick as I realized it was him, I stood up and just got him in the glass, and he was moving. So I tried to doe bleed, thinking that if there was a doe down here, he might want to come check it out, but he couldn't hear it. And so I just snort wheezed with my mouth, and I had him in the binos. I mean, he definitely heard me. He looked this direction, hesitated for 3 seconds, then kept walking. So I threw a couple grunts back behind us and did a quick little rattle just to see if I could entice him. We had that young 10 come out of there like right before he popped out. And so he knows that a buck had moved down here. I was hoping to kind of paint a picture of, a doe being down here and the buck's kind of getting after it, but I don't think he's a deer that I can successfully call to, and it just doesn't seem like Chubbs is the most dominant deer out here. The 6x5 beat him on the 29th, and I'm sure Big Mac can push him around too. So we'll see. It's nice to see him again. I mean, we're definitely honing in on where he wants to be. Hopefully it makes a reappearance, but if not, we'll see you guys next time we're out. Here comes the buck. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, that's him. You see him right there? He's to our right, man. He came through the creek. Right there, right there, right there. Look, his rack. He's right there. He's standing there. Dude, he's going down right there, buddy.
Mike.
He is down right there, buddy. He is down.
Mike.
He is down.
Oh my god, dude. It has been such a good.
He is down.
Oh my god.
He is down. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, Mike.
I was hoping, you could barely see just his rack.
Just his rack right there. Like, I didn't see him until he was right here.
I saw him go down the creek. He popped up under there, and then he just circled back. And I was like, well, he can't see right here. Let me tease him a little bit.
He come right there.
You could hear him grunting. And thankfully, I've got 4 feet of opening right here.
Good, and then, like,
I had to lean out this little shagbark branch, quartering away, Slipped him in there. Slipped him in there. Dude, I cannot believe that worked. I cannot believe it worked. It is November 10th, and I've been stewing all night about where to hunt this morning on this east wind. You know, we hunted on this ridgetop the last couple days, and I'm like, he's got to be crossing through here, and there's only one spot that he can sneak through that we basically can't see him. We had pictures of him yesterday morning down on that clover plot. This is like right where we park. The house is like right above the clover plot. We walked through that clover plot to come hunt all this great habitat. And it's been multiple mornings I get his picture right there at daylight. So this morning I said I was either going to go back in the bowl where I think he was just now heading behind that bottom plot, or I was going to come try to cut him off right here. This is a tough place to hunt because, you know, I've got him on that bean field edge sometimes and over here. And it's like, do you try to hunt it on a west wind blowing it back over that way, or do you try to blow it this way? So anyway, we came in with this east wind, and we had a doe come under us at daylight, before daylight, then a little buck, and look down at the clover plot right here, and I see a doe run across, and I can see him in the cut beans. Or I thought it was him. I actually couldn't tell. I could just tell it's a mature buck, and I thought that's got to be him. And they circle around, and they get in this grassy patch, and then they go into the standing beans where Bella shot her buck. And I thought, they're going to keep moving that way. Hopefully that doe's not in heat, and he breaks off and comes back through here, because I know he goes back through here to get to bull. And sure enough, I see him start coming back. I had grunted a couple times. I had bleated. I'm not sure if you could hear it down there, but he got in this grassy opening, got in the creek, and I was hoping he would follow that doe's trail. Man, I'm still shaking, but I was hoping he'd follow that doe's trail right here under the stand. Unfortunately, he got in this thick stuff, and there's kind of a grassy lane that goes up right here. I'm not kidding, all I could see was his rack. Like, every 10 yards I could see the top of his rack. It's so thick. I was hanging the stand this morning saying, I'm not sure we're gonna be able to shoot out of this tree, but hopefully we can gather intel, see where he's walking. When I saw that he wasn't gonna take this trail, he got in that thick stuff. I threw a snort wheeze out back behind us, and he stopped for a second, then he kept going, and I could hear him grunting. So he got over here, I doe bleated again, and then I just grunted. I mean, he's 40 yards away. It's pretty risky calling to a deer that close, but I know that if he goes over the hill there, I'm not gonna get a shot. So I did a few soft grunts back behind us, and he started grunting right back, turned, and he got in this little opening right here. I had one little opening back behind us, and he started to trot through it. I stopped him on the edge of it, had to kind of lean out, and quartering away, tucked it up in there. I think he ran 40 yards, stopped, didn't know what happened. He did a great mule kick, and then he just fell over right there on camera. The quest is over. That's encounter number 4. Man, it just feels so good. There's not many bucks that I've chased that hard that gave me fits like that. And to pull it off, boy, it feels good. November 10th. Yeah, this is where he was. Impact. God, that's sweet. He is literally in the exact spot where the 6x5 shed was. It was literally right there. That was the last shed we picked up that day. Holy moly. Yeah, what a beast. That is so crazy. Nice job, buddy.
Awesome experience, Mike.
Well, it's hard to believe I'm sitting behind this deer. It's starting to feel like it was never going to happen. And then this morning it all came together. It's been quite an emotional roller coaster chasing after him. Frustrating in a way, really. And that's very common when you're targeting a specific buck. But Jared and I was talking, we talked almost every day these last few weeks, and it's like, got daylight pictures of him again. But we weren't seeing him. You know, and today marked the 4th encounter with him, but it felt like we should have had 20 encounters with him by now, with how active he's been, particularly in these last 2 weeks. You know, if you guys have been following along, I've been watching this deer since July, and I actually got a picture of him, I believe it was May, and it was just his bases, and I could see the splits in the brows. I was like, ooh, that's gonna be a good deer. And it was right there down in the creek bottom where I got pictures of him the first half of the year. It was interesting because he was clearly not the most dominant deer on the farm. And in the summer, he was in that alfalfa field all the way to the west. That's probably a half a mile away from here, maybe not quite that much. Very active on a set of cameras there. We filmed him 3 different times in velvet. Really got to watch him grow. And I was thinking, if he stays on the farm for the fall, that I was gonna be catching up with him at the cherry tree or somewhere around that alfalfa. And we were hunting him a lot over there. And then we encountered him that night where he was bedded on that knob off the backside of that bean field. And that was one of the 2 areas I thought he was primarily bedding. And that's the night that the 6x5 came in and beat up on him. And the 6x5 had just showed up the week before on camera. And it was interesting, he's a year older and a much more dominant deer. They broke out into a fight, and then Chubbs was no longer over there. He shifted over here a few hundred yards and started popping up on 2 or 3 cameras over here, and he was very consistent. The same few cameras over and over and over. And I had to re-strategize and think, well, I'm gonna move over there. So we hung this set in the skybox, and I started really getting him down on this food plot. You know, you guys saw that encounter where he actually came under the cherry tree from the west, and then our wind was a little squirrely that night, and he got out of there. Later that evening, I got trail camera pictures, and he had come out of that food plot earlier in the day at like 1:15 and walked under that stand, and then at 4:40, he was just coming back. I said, you know, I'm gonna stick with hunting this food plot in this area. This is where he's most consistent. And then the next time we saw him, which was just a few nights ago, he skirted out the back of the plot, and I look over on the hillside, and there was Big Mac with a doe, and I think Big Mac pushed him out of there. And so it was interesting, you know, I'd call at him and he wouldn't really respond, and he was always seeming to try to sneak away and get out of there. And then he shifted further over to the east. And so, you know, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of folks about this dominance pattern and how it's affecting my ability to hunt him. And it's not like he left the county, but he was just shifting over. I never had him on cameras over here on the east side of the farm all year. And the last week, all of a sudden, he just started popping up in that same bean field that Bella killed. And I'd get him back on this little bottom plot. And I said, well, somewhere he's crossing over this ridge, somewhere. I've been contemplating how to hunt this tree line, because this is a really thick little area. They used to run cattle up here, previous owner. And so there's a lot of thick understory. And I had noticed certain trails during shed season, real heavy trail walking up this tree line and then one along the creek. And so with this east wind, just decided to slip down in there. And it's just surreal. It's so awesome, and I couldn't be happier. The real key to success, though, is the cutty back cameras. And I talked about it a lot last year with Turkey Foot. I'm just real busy all the time with the 5 kids and work, and my wife's busy at work. And you know, that you can't understate how those cameras can help make you more efficient and help hone in on where you need to be. And probably more importantly than anything else in this case is just keeping your head in the game and keeping positive and like feeling like, you know, you're one step away. You know, had I not had pictures of him, I mean, I would have felt like he wasn't here. I mean, we're sitting here, this is day 26, right? 29. I mean, we've been putting a lot of time in, and we have primarily hunted this farm. I mean, we've gone down the river bottom a few times and I just felt like I need a change in scenery. Am I hurting it? Hurting my chances of killing him? You know, and so we move and go make a few hunts down there. But we've primarily hunted this deer, and a lot of empty sits, a lot of slow sits. And, you know, getting those photos of him, it really helps you stay positive and stay focused. And that's always kind of a mental game of targeting one specific deer. Moving forward, you know, I still have my another tag in my pocket. So we're gonna keep after him. I've got the 6x5 to target, and then got some great bucks down the river bottom farm. I mean, Dak's still around, Merino. We got that dagger buck on the 28-acre piece. The pressure's sort of off. I feel a sense of relief that I was able to catch up with Chubbs, and we're gonna take a few days to relax and enjoy this, and then we'll be back after him this weekend. As always, we really appreciate you guys watching, and we hope you enjoyed the show.